Well, hello, my name is Tom Chick, and I'm here to play a game of Empires in America, which is published by Victory Point Games. Here's the little cover of their pizza box thing. Can you see that? The empires in question are Britain and France. This is the French and Indian War, or as it's known in Europe, the 7 Years' War. They lumped it in with all these other wars that were taking place. The 7 Years' War was basically World War Zero. Every major power in the world got involved in it. This is the North American theater of it. I will be playing France. France is here in Montreal. Britain is coming in from all sides. This card here, so this is a State of Siege game. This is the name of their series, in which the player manages things coming in different tracks towards a center, and they try to hold out. A couple of things set this apart. The main thing is the way cards work. Normally in a State of Siege game, you flip up a card, it tells you which track advances. That's not how this one works. In this one, there's some cool deck management stuff that you'll see me doing. What determines whether or not a track advances, excuse me, is whether or not it has a British leader. In this case, there's no one in the Great Lakes, no one in Upper Maine, no one in St. Lawrence, no one in Champlain. Oh, look, down here in the Ohio Valley, Braddock. So generals are rated by their skill, the number of battalions they're packing, and basically their repute or their fame. Braddock is a mediocrity. That's a terrible thing to have. He has 3 battalions. He has a skill of 1. This up here, excuse me, this is going to be what's called a tableau. These here are are the tableau, the part of the tableau that has troops that'll fight for me. These here will be my generals on this side. The British will have some troops that fight for them over here. Down here, actually maybe it's a better thing. Yeah, this is going to be my hand of cards. These aren't in play yet. I can bring them into play. So rather than drawing one card, seeing who advances, because every turn, if there's a general, they will advance, you draw a number of cards off of this draw pile. By the way, here's something Victory Point does that I don't understand. These things are very clearly labeled. Oh, that's very helpful. But the moment that they are in play, the label is completely covered up. So I've played this a couple of times to where I know what's what. Okay, there. You tell me which one is the discard pile, which is the recycle bin, and which is the draw pile. Oh, spoiler. Discard, recycle, draw. Yeah. At any rate, Victory Point does that sometimes. They will print important information, and then you cover it as soon as it comes into play. These generals, for instance, that looks like what's going on, but fortunately in this case, all the information here exists somewhere else on the board. This just tells you which track it goes to. This labels the track. These numbers will roll to see where British generals are placed. That is recreated down here. A minor issue, and this isn't a big deal. Here are the tracks. Each space is numbered. As soon as an army enters a space, it covers the number. No big deal, though. You can see what's before and behind it. All right, so right now, the 7 Years' War has not broken out. This is early tension. A lot of it is over Caroline Ticonderoga. Actually, that's historical stuff. I won't tell you that. So this is the early parts of the war, pre-war we'll call it. The action cards are divided into cards with a black title, right up here, and cards with a gold title, right here. These cards with the gold title, which are currently in what's called a recycle bin, they are not in play until we actually get to the 7 Years' War. When do we get to the 7 Years' War? When this card shows up. The 7 Years' War card, you can see that, that will show up. Each turn we're going to draw 4 cards. So we deal off 3 turns worth of cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. This right here, these cards are going to go on top of the pile. Underneath here are another 12, 13 or so cards. We are going to mix the 7 Years' War card in here. There's going to be a fair bit of shuffling in this game, so bear with me on that. All right, somewhere in here, we don't know where, the 7 Years' War will erupt. So we put that on the bottom. Here are 12 cards. Each turn we'll draw 4 of them. So we know there are 3 turns of relative, I wouldn't say peace, but laid back bit before the hostilities get too open. Once the 7 Years' War card comes out, we will then draw 6 cards per turn. After we shuffle all these in, by the way. 7 Years' War happens, these get shuffled in here. We're now drawing 6 cards a turn. So we're going to start out. Each turn starts with us drawing 4 of these cards, resolving them one after the other. Then the British go, which basically means everywhere that they have a general, they advance the general's skill in terms of number of spaces. Goes without saying that once the British march into Montreal, well, France has blown it. Which, by the way, historically is the way that it worked out. I am going to see if I can improve on what France actually did. After we have the historique phase with these cards, the British phase, then we come down here and have the French phase, which is where the French get action points equal to the cumulative total of all their generals' skills. I'll have 1 action point while I have l'Anglade out. Pardon my French, I don't know if that's how you actually say that. Oh, by the way, it's worth noting, l'Anglade also a skill of 1. He is currently at mediocrity on his reputation track. He's packing 2 battalions. One of the unique things, something unique to the French generals, they all have some special ability. Some of the, very few of the British ones do, but all of the French generals have a special ability. L'Anglade's special ability is once per turn, after using a card that has militia in it, they'll stick around with l'Anglade. I guess they have extra devotion to him. They're more committed to him. Normally when you use an auxiliary card, like a militia or natives, Indians, they get discarded either here or the recycle to shuffle back in. You'll see some of that. So let's now go straight to the historique phase. We're going to resolve 4 of these. The way I've been doing it, 1, 2, 3, 4. I just steal 4 off the top, and we're going to resolve them one at a time. Here we go. Disco. This guy is great. I'm so glad we now have a very good French general out. His skill is 2. He's packing 4 battalions, which is very helpful for us. These are little markers that are just going to help me with some bookkeeping stuff. Each general can only fight in 1 battle per turn. Many of the generals have special actions. I'll use these to mark them. Every general comes out with a reputation of mediocrity. That'll change in the course of battles. Baron Disco, we'll call him Disco. His special ability, at the end of every French phase, he gives me a free action point, which is marked with the opposite side of the action point counter. So that's the first of 4 cards. Very good for us. The second of the 4 cards, a world event. Militia disbanded. This is bad news. Every militia on the board, normally I might have some, the British might have some. Right now only I have 1. Some of the militia are packing up and going home. They're like, forget this war. On a 1, 2, or 3, the militia gets put in the discarded pile. Otherwise, on a 3, 4, 5, or 6, he sticks around. I hope you can see my dice. Here we go. They stick around. All right, so we've now resolved this world event. It gets discarded. Actually, it gets what's called trashed, which means put in the box. So I'm just going to put it off camera. You can't even see it. Let's look. Yeah, it's just whether or not the militia is discarded. Our third card. Provincials. I don't know how to say this. Wyandotte? Wyando? I don't know. At any rate, these Indians, when it says provincials, they immediately come into my tableau. If it says action, like these, who start in my tableau, the Quebec militia, it would be in my hand, and it would take an action point to put it into my tableau. So I'm looking very good. A couple of good generals, some good auxiliary troops. Braddock is going to have his work cut out for him. Let's look at our 4th card. This is an odd one, Map of North America. Normally, you use a 6-sided die modified by the skill of a general to determine who gets to roll their dice and inflict casualties first. All battles this turn, and I can tell you there probably won't be any, are decided randomly because one of us has a map of North America. Not the battles, the initiative for each battle. Instead of rolling dice on a 1, 2, 3, The British have the initiative every battle. 4, 5, or 6, the French do. If this had happened later, it could be a big deal. So let's find out, even though I don't think we'll see any battles. A 6, so we have the initiative for this entire turn. And actually, that might make it worth attacking Braddock after he advances. So we're just going to put that there to remind us that we, as the French, have the tactical initiative of every battle. We don't have to roll for it. Those are the 4 cards. That was the first historique phase. For the British phase, here's another thing. We have 2 generals, they have 1. If either side ever leads the other in generals by 2 or more, they discard, by putting them in the recycle bin, everybody in excess. Like, if, for instance, if he has 1 and I have 3, I'm going to have to go down to 2. You can never have more than 1 general more than the other side. That goes for the British and the French. The idea being, if we have a bunch of generals here, we're probably doing well. France calls them back to France, and the same with Britain. All right, so all the British do is they advance from Virginia into the Alleghenies. That is the British phase. Here we go. If they had been here during this turn, we would lose. For our phase, we get 1 action point. Disco is going to let us take a second 1 action point action if we want. I think it's probably worth going ahead and banging on Braddock. So, unlike the British, who have to advance along the tracks, the idea is that the French are in the middle. They're more mobile because they're besieged. So, let's have Disco attack Braddock in the Alleghenies. First, however, I'm going to do this to put into action the first troops de la Marine. They're Marines, basically. So I have all these options for guys that I can bring into battle. Because I know I have tactical initiative from this map of North America, I'm going to go ahead and have Disco attack Braddock at the Alleghenies as he advances up the Ohio Valley. I get initiative. I roll a die for every one of my battalions. A 5 or 6 is a hit. A 1 through 4 is a miss. The question is, do I want to bring one of these? That might be overkill. Oh, but you know what? We can hang on to him if he's in a battle. You know, this is going to be, let's just go ahead and go with Disco. I have initiative, so I'm going to roll a 4, 5, or 6 is a hit against Braddock. He'll roll that many dice fewer. Okay, this is quite the opening salvo. Braddock takes 3 hits before he returns fire. So if we look at the number of battalions he has, 2, 3, he is down to 0. When that happens, he is basically sent to the discard pile. He has been killed. He is out of the game. Every time we win a battle, we gain 1 notch of reputation. Disco now has recognition. Braddock would have lost some reputation, but he's dead, so who cares? We're going to get rid of this now. It gets trashed. World events and British events don't go in the discard pile because these can still come into play. They get knocked out of the game. That was the French phase. Now I can turn this over. Oh, no. I recruited this, and then turning this over, I used Disco's extra action point to attack. Oh, when we win a battle, the general's skill is the number of spaces the loser is driven back. So the Ohio Valley Army is sent back to Virginia from the Alleghenies. For housekeeping, any French leaders that are disgraced, they get sent back. Return markers, if these had been used, which actually technically I should have done that to show that he fought a battle, and that to show that his action was taken. Those markers get moved off. Reshuffle the draw pile. That's only if we're at the 7 Years' War. Every time at the end of the turn, the recycle bin gets shuffled back into the draw pile. Not the case now. All right, let's go to the next historique phase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't change the order. First card. Geez, Bougainville. I don't know how to say that. Bougainville? Well, it's also an island in the Pacific, I believe. All right, at this point, some of these guys are going to have to be recycled because we have way more generals than the British. There might be a few more. So Bougainville comes out with 2 battalions. His reputation is mediocre. His special action is once a turn, I can draw a card, and if it's an event, a world event or a British event, it gets recycled. Otherwise, it basically lets me hunt through the deck to find a card beneficial to me, which, by the way, doesn't always happen. Sometimes British auxiliary forces come out, in which case Bougainville helped the British. Nice work. All right, our second card. Here we go. So now we have a British general. This is Johnson. I don't know if that's his real name. His skill is 1, but during battles in wilderness, all the green squares are wilderness. These other things are forts. These, by the way, are colonies. The French can't attack the colonies. Don't be silly. He's got a skill of 1. In wilderness battles, his skill is 2, which basically gives him a better chance at having the initiative and getting to roll first. Let's see where he's put to work. We roll 2 dice. 11. Consult this chart. Great Lakes. If there had been another general there, whichever one of he could possibly replace the general if he was stronger than that general, if this general had been depleted or something like that. There's no one there, though. So we now have 2 battalions, and Johnson has mediocrity, and he'll be marching down this conveniently wilderness-oriented track. All right, that's that turn. That's that card, our third card. Another British one. So the good thing is we're not going to have to discard any of our generals. They've got a couple of middling generals. All right. Let's see where he goes. An 8 puts him at Champlain right here. He has no special abilities. He's got 3 battalions. And he's characterized by mediocrity, his reputation. Skill of 2. That, by the way, is the number of spaces he's going to advance. So this turn, he's going to waltz right into Carillon, which later became known as Ticonderoga. They have both names there. Well, the French had it. It was Carillon. Once the British took it over, they decided to change the name to Ticonderoga. And our fourth card. All right, another British general. Monckton. Not Moncton, Monckton. All right, let's see where he is deployed. A 9 would be Champlain. So what we check here is the number of battalions versus the number of battalions plus his skill. Basically how well he's proven himself in the field. If it was below this number of battalions, basically if they felt that these fresh troops would be better than this, he would displace him. Since he doesn't displace him, we start at track priority and work our way from the top down to find him an empty spot. St. Lawrence is empty, so he goes there. He'll be sailing out of Halifax up to this the St. Lawrence River. Monckton has 3 battalions, and of course a reputation of mediocrity. All right, that was the historique phase. For the British phase, they all advance. His skill is 1. He goes from Hudson Bay into the Upper Lakes. They actually go in order, if it were to matter, which, you know what, it does. We start with St. Lawrence. He goes here. Anytime a army comes to a fortress, which is one of these, he stops and there's an immediate battle. So the British are assaulting Louisbourg. Louisbourg? I'm going to just call it Louisbourg. I don't know. Pardon my French. They've got 3 battalions, a leadership bonus of 1 for their tactical initiative. It's going to be +1. I can put one of these guys there to defend it. Now, I also know that Forbes is coming into Carillon Ticonderoga, so I want to leave. Which one is tougher? His initiative. All right, so let's defend with Langlade. We'll use this militia. They are capable of fighting on the St. Lawrence track. And then the militia will be able to stay and play. So I'm going to put this here, battle fought. Actually, you can't see that. I'll put that there. Do I want to bring in one of these? Don't think I need to. I think I'm going to win the initiative. I'm going to get 4 dice. Let's go with it. All right, so for the tactical initiative, I'm going to get +1 because I'm in a fortress, +2. If I had advanced into any positive amount of fame, I would get a bonus. If you decline in fame, you get a penalty. So I'm at +2, he's at +1. The higher number gets to do their attacks first. Well, the British, oh, by the way, blue is France, red is British. The British get to go first. He gets 3 dice. A 5 or 6 is a hit. 1 hit. Bloop. Is this the group that can take a hit on behalf? No. All right. What this says is if the French don't control Quebec, they can't have this militia. Now I'm going to get to roll 1 die plus 2 for the militia. I only get 3 dice. Shoot a monkey. All right, terrible stuff happened there. I got 0 hits. Whoever gets more hits wins the battle. So I just lost Louisbourg, which is a big pain in the butt. If I attack him there now, he's going to have the defensive bonus. Plus now he's got those battalions, and I lost a battalion. All right, when one of these guys loses, now this isn't going to take place because once a turn, and I'll do that to show he's used his skill, any group with militia can stay in the tableau. Normally when you have auxiliary troops, if you win and they're happy, they go to the recycle bin so they'll come back in the deck. If you lose, they're like, screw that, we're out of here. They go into the discard pile, which basically means they won't be coming back into play. All right, so that's 1. 2 is Champlain. He's going to go 2 spaces, 1, 2. He stops there. Now let's have Disco. I really wish I knew how to say that. Defend, carry on. If I win, by the way, he's going to be driven back 2 spaces. If I lose, he's going to get Ticonderoga. It'll be renamed Ticonderoga at that point. By the way, this was, I think, where the opening battle was basically fought in the French and Indian War. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's a 21-year-old general there in charge named George Washington. I don't know a lot of historical tidbits about this. I know a few, so you'll have to bear with me. I might roll out a couple of things like that. All right. +2 for their tactical initiative, +2, +1 for a fortress, +3 for my tactical initiative. Oh, +4 because I've achieved a modicum of fame. Let me make sure that's right. It's on here, optional. +1 if high morale, recognition or plus. Yeah, okay. So +4 for the blue, +2 for the red. Good. All right, so I have the tactical initiative. I get to attack first. Oh, I should have thought to bring... Oh, you know what? Too late. I didn't do it. Besides, I don't think I want to lose them. 4 dice. 5s and 6s hit. 2 hits. I like that. 1, 2. Remember, the winner's determined by who gets the most hits. If it's a tie, then you get knocked out of a fortress. So that would be... Otherwise, I'm going to win and drive him back 2 spaces. But now he gets 1 die. There's no way he's going to get 2 hits. Oh, he did get 1 hit, though. Okay, I won the battle. He goes back 2 spaces. He runs back to New York. 2, 3. There's nobody in 3, which is Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes. His skill is 1. Now he advances to the Upper Lakes. Now it's the French turn. I have 2, 4, 5 action points. Disco will give me an additional 1. All right, so what to do about that? All right, the first thing I'm going to do is get some infrastructure going. By spending 2 points, I can put onto the map a trading post or a fort. Forts are great defensively, as you might imagine. Trading posts improve the French economy, and the way that works in the game is it lets me replace lost battalions. Langlade has lost 1, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get a trading post on the map. You want them in safe spots, but the farther advanced they are out from Montreal, the more victory points they're worth. But let's not worry about that at this point. Let's go ahead and build a trading post in Montreal, which will be worth 0 victory points, but it'll ensure that we can get replacements. So that's going to cost us 2 action points. To take a replacement, it costs us an additional action point, and we can only do it a number of times equal to our trading posts. So let's replace Langlade's lost battalion. Do we want to attack Louisbourg and maybe bring some of these dudes in? I've got... Oh, you know what? I'm gonna improve his battalion. I'm gonna replace his battalion. I think I want to come in here. We'd have equal options for the tactical initiative. I'm gonna bring a militia. I feel like I could win the battle. And you know what? Let's push really hard and also bring in these Marines. All right, so here we go. This might be overkill. Disco is coming in with the Quebec militia and the 1st troop of Marines, plus his 4 battalions to try to take back Louisbourg. 1 plus 1 for the fort, 2 plus 1 for the recognition. So plus 2 to red, plus 3 to blue. Here's for the tactical initiative as I try to take back Louisbourg. It is a tie. Wait. Plus 3, plus 2. No, it's not a tie. I handily won that. So now I roll, check this out, 2, 4, 8 dice. So I'm going to roll these twice. Doesn't look good for Moncton. 1 hit. I'd like more than that. 1 hit, seriously. So I could theoretically lose this battle. And by the way, if we tie, he stays there. Yeah, I don't drive him out. All right, he gets 2 dice. Let's see about no hits. Whew, good. So we got more hits. We win. He is driven back 2 spaces, basically back to Halifax. He loses a point of reputation. He is now in disrepute. Disco now has fame. Did I fight with other? Yeah, I fought with him. Okay, that's fine. All right, so that was 2 points for the trading post, 1 for replacements, 1 for battle. Let's go ahead and replace Langlad's lost battalion. Oh, no, we don't have the trading post for it. So then 1, 2, I can do this, watch this, to bring in another trading post and put it in Quebec. I don't want to put it up here, that's a little foolish. I'm going to put it in Quebec. I'm less worried about victory points at this point. Each track can only have 1 trading post. Now, because I have Disco, I have taken his action, this can flip over and I can do 1 more action that costs 1 action point. And because I have another trading post for it, I will replenish Langlad's battalions. French phase is over. For bookkeeping, we remove the markers. Oh, sorry, I forgot these guys. Let's see. These guys will either be discarded or recycled. Let's see. If the French win this battle, recycle this card. Otherwise, discard it normally. We did win. This is going to get shuffled in here once the 7 Years' War commences. And this says, discard this after a battle only if it absorbs a hit. Oh, we could have absorbed a hit. We didn't take one. Yeah, we're fine. Otherwise, recycle this card. Also recycled. We'll hopefully at some point see them back in. And we've got these Indians willing to help us. All right, so we don't have to sack anyone. We put the markers back. We would normally shuffle this in here. There's not the 7 Years' War yet. So 4 cards for the historique phase. The Montreal Militia. That will help Langlade. Oh, that's an action. Sorry, it goes into my hand. I have to spend an action point to bring them into play. All right, now the New England Militia for Britain. This little brown ribbon here represents the Upper Main track. It says you must use it every Upper Main battle on the turn it's committed. So as soon as there's a battle in the Upper Main, he joins in that battle. He stays there for the duration of the turn if there are more battles. And he will be either recycled or discarded depending on how the battles go. Oh, another British leader. Which is not good. Well, we don't like it. All right, let's see where this British leader goes. This is Shirley. Haha, that's a girl's name. If I'm not mistaken, he might be a guy responsible for kicking out a bunch of French from this area over here called Arcadia. 3, he wants to go to Upper Maine, which is available. All right, Shirley in Upper Maine. Shirley has 3 battalions. And his reputation is one of mediocrity. And then finally, siege train. So next time the British are at a fortress, they're going to call this fortress artillery in here, which gives them 2 additional battalions. All right, that was the historique phase. Now the British phase, they advance according to their skill. We start here. Louisbourg, he's going to be hitting it every turn. So we are also going to have him coming from New England to Hampshire. That's fine. He's going to once again throw himself at Carolina. He only has 1 battalion. He's just going to progress down there. Let's go ahead and throw Disco back into it and hope, although we could, no, we don't have militia. We don't have them out. Let's throw Disco into it. All right. So this shows he's fought a battle. So when it comes to the French phase, I then cannot put him into another battle. All right, let's roll for tactical initiative. He's going to get +2. Only as long as it's positive, it's +1. It's not +1 for a notch of positive reputation. So he's going to be at +3 because he's defending a fort, +4 for the blue die, +1 for the red die. I have a good feeling about this. All right, well, it is 6 to 5. All right, fine. So he gets 2 dice first. All right, and he misses. Haha. Nice work, Moncton. And I get all 4 of my dice. And I miss. All right, it's a draw. So if it's a draw, the attacker on a fortress gets put back to 1 box. Nobody gains reputation or loses reputation in the case of a draw. But that's fine. We didn't lose Louisburg. Louisburg. I should look up how to say that before I record a video. That's 1. We go to Champlain is going to go 2 spaces because of his skill through Fort William Henry into Carillon, Ticonderoga. Oh my, let's see. He's only got 1 battalion, but he does have a handy 2 points of skill. Let's go ahead and have Bougainville defend. Maybe get himself out of mediocrity. So he's going to get 2 +1 for the fortress, so that's +3 for him. He's getting +2 for his skill. Plus, that's 7 and 7. Okay, in the event of a tie, I was worried this would happen. I'm finally having to look something up. I think whoever has the highest reputation wins, but because our reputations are tied. All right, let's go to the combat section. Determining the tactical initiative. Bear with me, I apologize for having to look this up. All right. Side with the higher total wins. If those are tied, the French... Oh, if reputation is tied, the French leader wins if the battle is a French attack. The British leader wins if it's a British attack. It is a British attack. So they win. He gets his 1 die first. Who was fighting? Bougainville. Right. I need to have some sort of an interface mod here. So he gets 1 attack, a miss. We get 2 dice. And we got a hit, which will then knock him out of commission. This will give us recognition. So this will drive him back 2 spaces. 1, 2, right back to New York. And Forbes now goes into the discard pile. All right, that is looking good. So that is 2. Nobody in the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, his skill is 1. He is now at Fort Detroit. And then for 5, the Upper Maine, Shirley has a skill of 1. He advances from New England into the Hampshires. That was the British turn. We now go to the French turn. I have 2, 4, 5 action points. It'll be 6 when I use Disco's ability. All right, do I need to replace? No, I have no lost battalions. Let's spend 1 action to bring out the Montreal militia. They can fight in the Champlain track and on the Ohio Valley track.